right, so it's great to be back here with you all. That you've heard that saying about it's much harder to write a short memo than a long one. I've got 10 minutes, I normally speak for 60, so we're going to go like lightning here. I've spent most of my life in startups, building companies, selling them to big companies, escaping the big companies, and it's fascinating to sit on the other side of the fence and look at big companies and medium-sized companies and people in startups, and they read everything going on out there, and they read Fast Company, and they scour Medium, and they read their Twitter posts, and they link to articles in Fortune, and they get trapped in this incredible language that we create to what happens inside the companies around us. And we hear about the need for leadership and change. It takes time, and you've got to fail fast, and we're going to Uber that app, and we're going to do all these incredible things. And largely, it's all bullshit. Largely, it's a big con, because we love to self-promote. So we create these frames, we create language to describe what's happening, and the language is largely inaccurate and doesn't help us. So what I wanted to do was to talk about a few of these cons for a second, and just challenge you when you leave here today to go, I'm actually not going to believe what I'm told anymore. I'm actually going to really go and interrogate it and ask the how we do it, right? You hear things like, we're going to experiment at the edges. We're going to build our little AR thing down here, our augmented reality thing, and it's going to be a really good little experiment at the edge, and then eventually, over time, we will put this in our business. And you just don't have time. How many of you have seen this chart here before? I actually can't see any of you, but a few of you put your hand up. Thank you for down the front here. It's bullshit, right? This was invented in about 1980 to describe what happened when selling printers, when printers were invented. The world looks like this, right? And you have no time. You have no time. You have to, whatever you think you need to do it with such urgency. Such urgency. If you look at Xero and the growth of Xero as a business I've been involved in for over 10 years now, it took us 4 years to get 50,000 customers, and now it takes us months to add 50,000 customers. I'd hate to be a competitor of Xero. How many of you own a speaker from Bose, Sonos, Logitech, JBL, Jawbone, Sony, major speaker brands, right? You've all got one. And you can imagine working for Bose where you've got German audio engineers on your side, for God's sake. I mean, and you're busy sitting there, and life's good in 2014, and you've got 30% of the market, and you're planning your attendance at the Milan Speaker Trade Show Conference, and doing deals with, Adele or whoever to promote your speakers, and then you're sitting with your management team, and who's our big competitors? Oh, I'm worried about what those crazy Sony guys could be doing, and oh, those Logitech people, they're pretty innovative. And then, bam, Amazon destroys you overnight. In 1 year becomes the leading speaker manufacturer in the world. Amazon. It's a shitty e-commerce site, right? It just happens to sell a lot of stuff. And suddenly, they're challenging your German audio engineers. Or the dating industry. You're trundling along, you saw the ads for eHarmony, Match.com, always at the movie theatre, which I could never understand why you'd be advertising to people on a date at the movie theatre. But probably a clean indication of how unhappy they all were. And then Tinder. Months it took Tinder. How many of you are on Tinder? Oh, I normally get someone to put their hand up. But it was months for them to destroy a multi-decade industry. Or some of you play these games. Angry Birds, largest gaming franchise in the world, trucking along, 2.2 million active users. So good they're making movies and opening retail outlets in LA. And then, bam, Pokemon Go arrives. This didn't happen in a week or a month. This happened in 13 hours. 13 hours it took to decimate the entire online gaming industry, right? $200 million. Now, a little secret here, Niantic Labs was a spin-out from Google. How did a big company spin something out that came to dominate an industry? Did they build leadership capability? One of the greatest myths out there, I swear to God, if I see another leadership conference, I'm going to go insane. Like, no one can actually have a middle manager conference, or we're the people that do shit conference, right? You have to have and you go to a bookstore and there's walls of books on how to be a better leader, and no books on how to be a better follower. I just don't understand it. Actually, the reason Niantic Labs and all these businesses win is because they have more people that do shit, right? Amazon won because it had 17 engineers for every one at Barnes & Noble. 0 wins. Look at the percentage of R&D spend compared to competitors. You can't compete with an army of engineers and coders. Hire more people that make stuff. They don't tell you this stuff. Don't build products, build platforms. Dual-sided platforms are taking the world by storm. They're not products. You can't just make another app, right? And so these connections, this flow-through of these new economies are just staggering. I don't have a lot of time. So be makers. Hire more makers. Don't hire any more managers, right? Organize to innovate. Oh my God, I just read this. It nearly made me ill sitting out there. Let me just read this to you. It was just a little gem from a major bank, not the one we all love, CBA. Our goal is to shape this bank into a 22,000 strong startup. That probably sounds ridiculous. It does actually sound absolutely ridiculous to many due to our long heritage and legacy systems. After all, we're a huge organization with thousands of staff protecting the financial well-being of millions. We're not known for making huge risks or massive pivots, and you never will be. Because they don't understand how to do the most important thing to drive innovation that drives innovation in all these startups is we play. We just play with shit. We create things. Google Glasses. How many of you have seen? You've seen a variant out here in the lobby. Go play with them. 2 people invented these in their 20% free time. There was no manager who said, we're going to approve that project. There was no pass down. There was no presentation to the executive leadership team. And now that's a major new product line for the company. 2 people working in their free time. Play enables incredible things to happen. If you build play into your businesses, you make every process fun, amazing things start to get created. You don't create an innovation center to create a 22,000 person startup. You simply introduce play into everything. You change the dynamic of the workplace because impossible is nothing when you believe you can do anything, right? Other ones you hear, oh, we're going to offer our employees more work-life balance. That is the most ridiculous idea in the world. Equally ridiculous is the idea of work-life integration, which is a really great con. That's a trick to basically means I can email you any time of the day or night. If you're a manager, have you ever walked up to that employee there at 7 o'clock at night and said, hey, look, I've got to tell you, we need to get you some help. You're the least efficient of our employees. You seem to be really unproductive. I don't understand why you're here. Everyone else has gone home, right? Instead, we reward lack of work-life balance, and most modern societies are working as hard as they can to flip that on their head. We've hired this army of people in people experience. We're busy reinventing titles like at an even more accelerating rate, right? CMOs are now Chief Customer Experience Officer. What wanker thought of that? Like, that's just... HR people are no longer HR people. They are people experience officers, right? I got to tell you, as I get into businesses and I look at them, we are not addressing the fundamental issues faced by our employees. You don't go study Google on yet another study tour and conclude we need more free food, free sodas, and like a masterclass chef's kitchen. No, go fix the real problem. The real problem of women's inequality in our workplaces. I sat with a group of young female leaders the other day after a meeting where I said, who could go to San Francisco and work on this project? Every guy's hand in the room went up like a missile. I said, hang on a second here, why did none of you put your hand up? Oh, we got kids and I can't afford to pay the childcare and this costs me too much money. You know that whole lean-in thing? They're not leaning in very much. And I don't know what to do. How about that? Offer free creches at your events so your employees can come and enjoy them. How about offering childcare support so women can pursue the same opportunities as men in the workplace? Don't worry about people experience, right? Remember, this is the stage. This is the stage where companies were born. I mean, it's super. Anyone here from Flamingo, the Flamingo crew? Kathy and Katerina? That business was born on the stage a few years ago. IPOs tomorrow. The second company ever in the history of Australia to be chaired by a woman and with a woman CEO. Fucking just so good. So good. My final point in my remaining 22 seconds is, yeah, look, purpose matters. Purpose and business matter. The great businesses out there are succeeding not because they hired an amazing consultant to write a beautiful purpose statement and held these purpose summits so all their employees could hug the purpose. Actually, they hire people who have a purpose. They have people who want to be the best engineers in the world. They have people who want to be the best writers, the best movie producers. That's what makes these businesses great. Not the business's purpose, but the fact that they find people who have such intensity of purpose and they put them to work on amazing projects. So get a life, get a purpose. And I love your thoughts. Thanks for having me. Take care.